Rinku ma'am, please start with the introduction. The recording is started. Unmute yourself.
Okay, thank you. So, a very good morning to all of you. So, today it is 9 September and we are at the ninth day of this 21 days online training. And this is the 14th lecture. So, today our guest of speaker, the speaker who will be delivering his lecture is Dr. Nitin P Kurade. Sir is the head School of Atmospheric Stress Management in the ICAR-National Institute of Abiotic Stress Management, which is located in Baramati, Pune, Maharashtra. And Sir would be delivering a talk on the abiotic stresses and its management in livestock. So before his talk, I would like to introduce Dr. Kurade to the participants of this training program. Dr. Nitin P Kurade, he graduated and post-graduated from Bombay Veterinary College, Mumbai. His post-graduation and PhD is in veterinary pathology. After his post-graduation, he joined Agricultural Research Service in 1993. And after the NAM training, his first posting was at IVRA Regional Station Palampur from 1994 to 2010. So he worked at this particular station for a period of 16 long years. So Dr. Kurade, he worked on poultry and wildlife diseases besides plant toxicosis, that is lantana, ageratum, eupatorium, oak and ferns. In between, he did his PhD from 1996 to 2000 at IVRA Izzatnagar, where his study was an experimental immune pathogenesis of paratuberculosis in sheep. Then in June 2010, he joined IVRA Izzatnagar Bareilly for a period of 4 years till March 2014. And during that period, he guided 6 MVSC and 1 PhD students. And besides that, he had been the advisory committee members for more than 25 students. And mostly they worked on tumor cytology and molecular markers. Then he joined the National Institute of Abiotic Stress Management in 2014, where where he is presently working, and he is currently the head of the School of Atmospheric Stress Management. He is member of various scientific associations like IAVP, SARAS, TOX, IAVR, Association of Agrometeorologists, and he has published more than 80 research papers in various national and international journals with a total of more than 1000 citations. He has an H index of 18 and I-10 index of 23. Dr. Kurade is recipient of some best paper and poster awards besides the Varsha Hatcheries Award for work on other animals. He is also the diplomat of the Indian College of Veterinary Pathologists and he is member of examination committee of the ICVP. Dr. Kurade has also worked as editor of the Indian Journal of Veterinary Pathology for a period of 4 years. So, sir, we are very happy to have you here, and I am very much confident that the participants will benefit from your presentation, which is on abiotic stresses in the livestock. So, welcome, sir.
Thank you, Rinku, for a nice introduction. So I welcome you all for my presentation on abiotic stresses and their management in livestock. So I would like to tell briefly about our institute. Our institute is National Institute of Abiotic Stress Management. This was initiated in 2009 at Baramati. So its major mandate is to management of abiotic stresses in crop, livestock, and fisheries also. So here, very small team of livestock scientists is there. So we are mainly working on goats, buffalo, and poultry. Before going to my talk, I would like to draw your attention to this drought situation in Maharashtra during last decade. So during last decade, there were 3 droughts in Maharashtra. First was during 2012-13, second was during 2014-15. Then during 18-19 also there was one drought in which almost 151 talukas were declared drought talukas. So that included 28,000, more than 28,000 villages. So this is the situation. So people are going for water towards well like this. Cattle camps are organized. So these are the photographs of cattle camps from Latur and Usmanabad districts of Maharashtra. And this agriculture situation is like this. So no, there was no crop. So this is the situation of livestock camps organized. So during recent years, you can see here this most of the number of districts is also increased. Number of camps, they are also increased, and number of animals admitted in the camps, they are in lakhs. In last 2018-19 camps, more than 11 lakhs animals were admitted in the camps. So this is the graphical presentation. So during last decade, you can see majority of the cattle camps were organized. Number of camps, you can see this, and number of animals also, more than 25 lakhs animals during last decades were in camps. So coming to this presentation, so this is the outline of my presentation. This I will be going for overview of livestock production related to this abiotic stress. Then this climate change, its impact on livestock and abiotic stresses. Then the concept of stress, that particularly this abiotic stress. So what stress we know in human being and in animals, and what is in agriculture. So that we will discuss here. Then important stresses for livestock, responses and impact of different stresses in livestock. What will be the adaptation and mitigation strategies, and role of livestock as a mitigation measure in farmers' perspective. That will also we discuss, and what will be the way forward. So coming to this, this domestication history is very long. Most of the domestic animals familiar to us today were domesticated during this 8,000 to 2,500 BC. So you can see this dog was domesticated first, and latest was horse. Horse was domesticated. So, and you know, contribution of livestock to human being. All of us know this: food, fiber, draft, dung. So cultural activities also. This animals act as companion animals also. And what is the demographic dependence on livestock? So if you see worldwide, livestock sector employs 1.3 billion people and creates livelihood for 1 billion population living under poverty. It accounts for 40% of world's agriculture gross domestic product. And in India, our 50% population is dependent on agriculture. And out of that, 2/3 of the rural community that is dependent on livestock. So livestock sector employs 8.8% of total Indian workforce. And particularly these poor farmers, marginal, small, semi-medium farmers, out of them 87.7% farmers, they keep livestock. And you can see this land use for livestock activities is only 1.69%. So about these different products, milk. So we are self-sufficient. We are the highest producer in the world. So, but there is difference in different states. We can see some states per capita availability is below this ICAR recommendations. So we need to improve in that also. For meat, we are very far away from this ICAR recommendations per capita in case of per capita availability, meat and eggs. So this species-wise contribution to milk and meat production, you can see this buffalo are the major contributor, and among meat, poultry is the major contributor. So annual growth rate, you can see for annual growth rate for meat, broiler, egg production, milk production, all are more than 6, almost more than 6. And India is exporting more in livestock sector, that against the import, more than 4 times, our export is more than 4 times, you can see here. So trend of livestock population from 1951 till last census, that is 2019. So you can see poultry production is increased by more than 12%, and livestock population is almost double. So among this livestock population, major share is of cattle, buffalo, sheep, and goat, and pig are only just 2%, and other livestock, our horses, mithun, yak, rabbit, so they are just less than 0.2%. So about this cattle population, this includes actually buffalo also. So India shares 30% of this cattle population. When you see towards this milk production, so it is just 23%. So this 30% cattle of India, they are producing 23% milk only. So about this population trends, those shown in red, they are showing negative trends. So we need to be very careful about this species of livestock, particularly pig, yak, horses, mule, donkey, camel. So all are showing this negative trend in growth. So this is the red mark, that is highest population during 2007, 12, and 19. So you can see this buffalo, sheep, and goat, they are increasing. This population is increasing, but others populations are decreasing. So in case of poultry also, there is positive growth rate. This particularly backyard poultry, you can see 45.78% growth is there. Then livestock population, if you see state-wise, so in Uttar Pradesh, the population is highest, followed by Rajasthan. So where surplus availability of fodder is there, there you can see this livestock is more, and where it is less, there also you can see livestock are more. So livestock contribution to gross value added. So here, out of this total agricultural, 17.2% share, livestock contributes 4.9%. And among livestock, it is 28.4%. Among agriculture, livestock share is 28.4%. So now coming to this impact of climate change on livestock. You must be knowing, I think there were some lectures about this, the impact of climate change on livestock. So you must be knowing all these GHGs and all these things. So livestock is having major producer of GHGs and also sufferer of this climate change. So in that sense, you can see this various sectors producing anthropogenic greenhouse gases. Among that, agriculture is 24%. Share of agriculture is 24%. And carbon dioxide is the major greenhouse gas produced. That is 76%, almost 76%. Methane is 16%. Nitrous oxide is 6%. So when you see this global carbon emission trend, so it is increasing with every year. And India's share is to global emissions is 7%. So due to this increased greenhouse gases, there is global warming, and which is temperature of this globe is increased by 1 degree centigrade. You can see from 1860 to 2020, this one degree centigrade rise is there. And in recent IPCC report, that increase is predicted by 1.5 degree by 2040. So what will the impacts of that increased temperature by 1.5 degree? So this measure five impacts will be like this: temperature will reach 1.5 degree above this 1850 to 900 levels by 2040 under all emission scenarios. The Arctic is likely to be practically ice-free in September at least once before 2050 in all scenarios assessed. There will be an increasing occurrence of some extreme events that is unprecedented in historical record, even at warming of 1.5 degrees centigrade. These extreme sea level events that occurred once a century in the recent past are projected to occur at least annually at more than half of tidal gauge locations by 2100. And there will be likely increase in fire events in many regions. So these are the major 5 impacts. So coming to livestock, so the major contributor of GHG, this kg of CO2 per kg of protein. This buffalo meat is the major contributor, you can see, followed by this beef cattle. And these chickens are the lowest among this. So when you see this livestock contribution to climate change, that is livestock production produces 14.5% of the anthropogenic greenhouse gas emissions. Among this 24% of agriculture, 14.5% is through livestock. And among livestock, enteric emissions are more. This 44.1% is through enteric fermentation. That is, ruminants are major contributors to greenhouse gas emissions. So based on livestock, region-wise contributions are shown in this. So major contributor is this South America, followed by this East and Southeast Asia, and our area is the third contributor. So due to this increased global temperature, this climate change is occurring. So major impact is on these climatic events, and particularly most dangerous climatic event is drought. So this, due to climate change impact, these drought-prone areas, how they will be increased in India, it is shown in this prediction. So you can see this, most of the Indian states, they will be drought-prone in coming 50 years. So now coming to our main topic, that is stress in livestock. So if we see stress in human being, so stress is in human, it is body's method of reacting to conditions such as threat, challenges of physical and psychological barrier. Stress is feeling. So our mind feels stress. In human, stress is felt by mind. And also it is defined as body's response to physical and mental and emotional pressures. So under stressful conditions, there are chemical changes in body that occur. So that raise body pressure, blood pressure, heart rate, blood sugar levels also increase. But in agriculture, this stress, this term stress is used in broader sense. The stress is an external factor that decreases crop yield from yield maximum to lower level. And abiotic stress, it is the negative impact of non-living factors on living organisms in a specific environment. So in human being, it is psycho-neuroendocrine phenomena. And in agriculture, it is just impact of non-living factors on living things. So we have tried to devise our definition like this for livestock, that condition of disturbed homeostasis due to altered environment or factors and related adaptations impacting health and production aspects of animal. So abiotic stress will be the conditions of disturbed homeostasis due to altered non-living environment or factors and related adaptations impacting health and production aspects of animal. We are proposing this definition for abiotic stress in livestock. So now coming to homeostasis. What is homeostasis? In biology, homeostasis is a state of steady internal physical and chemical conditions maintained by all living systems. So how it is maintained? This maintaining of state of homeostasis requires a high level of biochemical interactions in normal functioning. So this high level of biochemical interactions, you can imagine by different cycles undergoing in our body. So many cycles are undergoing in animal body, and it is said that within second 400 billion chemical reactions take place in our body. So you can imagine how homeostasis interactions are undergoing in our body. So how that how it can be measured then from outside our body. So based on this behavioral and phenotypic changes, based on physiological changes, based on biochemistry of the animal, then based on this nutrient cycles, immune reactions, and growth, production, reproduction parameters. So now this physiology of the animal, it is maintained by different systems of the body. So you can imagine this, all these systems, they are working simultaneously. And there are a lot of interactions going on, and through this, homeostasis is maintained in our body. So this nervous system play important role, and followed by this endocrine system. You can see this hypothalamus, pituitary gland, and adrenal, they are important in regulations. So now coming to this abiotic factors, abiotic stress. So abiotic stress is produced by this abiotic factors. So what are these abiotic factors? Major abiotic factors are the soil, water, atmosphere. So these are nothing but this, just like this Prithvi, Jal, Vayu, Agni, Akash. These are the Panch Mahabhutas described in our ancient literatures. So these are having impact on this crop, livestock, and fishery production. So in case of crop production, soil is having direct impact on crops. But for animals and fishery, there is no direct impact. So this impact is mediated through nutrients. So all the macro and micronutrients required by livestock, they manage this impact. So when livestock gets optimum nutrients, optimum environment, optimum water, so there will not be any stress, as all the maintenance requirement, production requirements, they are fulfilled at these optimum conditions. But when there is nutrient deficiency or excess, environment is beyond thermoneutral zone, this water is not of proper quality or quantity, that time this maintenance requirement is increased because of these environmental conditions, and there is effect on this production and growth requirements. So there will be stress in the animals. So under any stress conditions, growth and production is affected first, and then survival. So now coming to this classification of these abiotic factors for livestock. So these abiotic factors may be physical or chemical. This physical, under these physical factors, climate, heat, light, noise, sound, they will come under physical. Under chemical, mainly water and nutrients, they are there. So what about water? Quantity of water is important, and quality is also important. For nutrients, excess or deficit or anti-nutritional factors in the nutrients, they will be affecting. And there will be some contaminants. So these contaminate heavy metals, residues, pollutants, this pesticide and antibiotic residues. So all these will be creating stress in livestock. So we can classify stressors in livestock like thermal, nutritional, water management, etc. So coming to these types of abiotic stresses in livestock. So this climatic stress, it is due to harsh climatic conditions, mainly impact of drought will come in under this. Thermal stress due to global warming, so this stress is more intense in the coming years. This effect of heat stress, cold stress, exposure to temperature beyond thermoneutral zone, and nutritional stress, deficiency or excess of nutrients, anti-nutritional factors, contaminants. Underwater stress, this quality and quantity of water will be important. In physical stress, impact of sound, noise, and in physiological stress, when this normal physiological process, they are not carried out under optimum conditions or optimum input conditions or optimum environmental conditions. So such as pregnancy, lactation, so that they will create stress on the animals. Then some managemental aspects, if not done properly, so they will also create stress. So coming to this stress mechanism in the body. So under stress, this corticotropic releasing hormone is secreted by hypothalamus in stress conditions. So this stimulates pituitary to secrete adrenocorticotropic hormone, which acts on adrenal cortex to produce adrenaline and cortisols. And these cortisols, they are responsible for further adaptation towards stress mechanisms. In under stress, there is enhanced secretion of glucocorticoids, catecholamines, growth hormones, and prolactins. And these all hormones, they will increase mobilization of energy sources and adapt individual to the new circumstances. So now coming to one by one stresses. Under climate stress, there is direct impact of climatic factors on livestock, as well as some climatic extreme events. They also affect livestock production systems. And this indirect impact of climate factors is on nutrient availability. So whenever there is water scarcity or increased temperature, so less vegetation will be there. So less nutrients will be available. Quantity and quality of nutrients will be affected. So all these factors will produce stress in animals. So how these atmospheric factors, they produce stress? All these atmospheric factors under the influence of solar radiations, water cycle and air cycles are going on in agro ecosystems, and they are responsible for particular weather conditions of that geolocation or climatic conditions of that geolocations. So all these atmospheric factors, temperature, humidity, wind, this pressure, all these are measurable. We can measure all these factors, and based on its measure, we tell what is the weather of that condition, that geolocation, where this livestock, crop, and fish, they are reared. Or climate is long-term pattern of weather, climate of that conditions. So when these factors go wrong, so there are extreme climatic events they are produced, such as flood, drought, heat wave or cold wave. Then cyclones, when pressure disparity is there, cyclones are produced. So all these impact on agroecosystems, impact on livestock, crop, and fish. And all these livestock, fish, crop, they also contribute to greenhouse gas productions, and they impact on this climate. So other processes, industrialization, deforestation, they also lead to increased greenhouse gas emissions and pollutants. They also again impact on this climate, and they produce this more climatic events impacting this our agroecosystems. So major stress for livestock is heat stress particularly, and some areas it is cold stress also. So this is the prediction about what will happen when 1 degree rise will be there. So what will impact when 1.5 degree rise? So in case in the scenario of a 4 degree rise, the situation will be like this. Global situation will be like this. So more and more climatic events will be produced under such conditions. So under heat stress, what are the physiological responses in livestock? So there will be increased respiratory rate, reduced rumination, reduced feed intake. So all these will lead to impaired rumen balance and function, leading to increased acidosis risk and acidosis related health issues in animals. And ultimately there will be reduced milk production in that particular animal. So there will be a lot of invisible consequences as well as visible signs of heat stress. So by 2020, heat stress will decrease milk production from Indian dairy cows by 0.73 million liters. So there will be huge impact on this milk production. Heat stress is measured against this temperature humidity index. So based on this temperature and humidity parameters, temperature humidity index is calculated. This combined measure of temperature and humidity. And this THI threshold above which milk production will be decreased, for HF cattle it is, this threshold is 72. And there is very less information about this THI thresholds for other dairy cows. So this work is required on this aspect also. Selection of it is one of the observations that selection of gear cows for increased milk yield reduces heat tolerance in the animals. So when we select animals for high yielding traits, this heat stress in that animal will increase. So there is one argument also that at higher production as compared to this exotic animals, our indigenous animals, how they will perform. So this they are known for this their stress tolerant abilities, but whether it is true or not when we compare at same production level. So that studies are also required to debate that argument. So now coming to nutritional stress. So when we see about this, talk about this nutrition in animals. So all these essential nutrients are required by all the animals, whether it is in production or it is not in production. So nutritional deficiency are very common under Indian farming conditions. So most of our livestock is reared by our rural poors. So they are resource poor farmers, and mostly unbalanced feeding is practiced by them. So nutritional deficiencies, they affect primarily in their production systems. So this is some of the literature search shown in Marathwada region of Maharashtra, this middle Gangetic plains, in Uttar Pradesh, Uttarakhand also. So most of the animals' nutritional status is deficient in dry matter, digestible crude protein. So we can say this: our animals are reared under this deficit nutrition. So these are some projections about this fodder availability. So you can see this green fodder availability, it is more than 60% deficit. For dry fodder, almost 20 to 25% deficit. And this under this climate change scenario, it is going to be further aggravated. This is from NINP. They have shown this deficit status regarding this dry fodder, green fodder. So it is in the range of 10 to 35%. So now coming to this water stress in livestock. So this is the situation in scarcity zone of Maharashtra. So human also, they struggle for this availability of water. At present also there is a lot of flooding in Maharashtra, and simultaneously some villages there is scarcity of water. So this situation by providing water by tanker, that is prevailing in this monsoon period also. So during scarcity of water, this quantity and quality of water available, that impacts livestock. And this information about this relative water requirement of different species and breeds. So when we go for search in literature, for specific breed-wise or species-wise requirements. Species-wise requirement is there, but when we go for breed-wise requirement, we are lacking in that. So studies are required in this aspect also. So this in some parts of Rajasthan, particularly, this impact of salinity is also there. This water is saline, and that also affects livestock production. So studies are required on that aspect also. So then this physical stress in livestock. So you can see this sound, noise, they also impact on livestock production. So there are different factors producing sound or noise stress in air, land, and ocean. So such type of impact studies in livestock, they are not there. Then impacts of this radiations. So livestock, they go out for grazing for long periods, particularly during summer months. This vegetation is also scarce. They have to move very long distances for grazing. So under that situation, such type of panting is very common in this livestock. So this about this physiological stress, already I have told us this normal physiological functions under input deficit conditions, they produce stress. This pregnancy, lactation, care of young ones, illness, giving birth, all this are stressful under deficit conditions. So then management stress in livestock. So all these management or farm management, all these factors need to be considered. And when these are not conducted properly, they produce stress in livestock. So this transportation stress is mostly studied stress in livestock. So other conditions, they require this attention. Now coming to this abiotic-biotic interactions. So this is also one of the component of this abiotic stress management. So here, these abiotic factors, as I told, is soil, water, atmosphere, and biotic factors and livestock. There is a lot of interaction of abiotic and abiotic interactions. So under climate change scenario, this vector population also that changes. That is also impact on this various biotic factors. So you can see this abiotic stress that leads to these opportunistic pathogens. They can become infectious. Then some latent infections, they can become active infections. So you can see this vector populations, they also affected by this climatic factors. And due to changing climate scenario, this vector population will be also changing, ultimately changing the disease pattern. So a lot of studies are required on this aspect also. So what are the factors influencing effect of stressors? So under our different production systems, the stress will be different. So what animal is involved, this species, breed, that also stress will be different in that situations. Then intensity and quantity of stressors, then duration of exposure to the stress, and multiple stress conditions. So in field conditions, only heat stress will not affect. When heat stress is there, nutrient stress is also there, water stress is also there. So mostly stress is multiple stress in case of field conditions. So such type of studies are also required. That what are the impact of multiple stresses on livestock. So at different growth stages, stress will be different. So we need to define these stress impacts at various stages of the growth. So now coming to, so how farmers perceive stress in their animals. This farmers can see that some behavioral changes in their livestock, reduced growth, stunted growth in the animals that will be seen by the farmers. Then some productions, milk production, egg production, so that will be reduced. And some infertility problems will be also there in their animals. And these animals will be susceptible to these various diseases, particularly parasitic diseases, some infectious diseases also. Sometimes there will be mortality in their animals. So finally, farmer will pursue that economic loss in their production system. So now coming to responses of the livestock to the stress. So I have listed some behavioral responses of the livestock. So these are mostly from dog studies. So in literature, no much literature is available, particularly our Indian livestock. So there are a lot of journals about these behavioral responses of livestock. But studies on our Indian livestock are lacking. So we need to focus on that aspect also. So now coming to physiological responses. Under his stress, this respiratory rate will be increased, heart rate will be increased, there will be increased sweating, and then skin temperature also increased, rectal temperature will be also increased. So these are some physiological responses. And stress response need to be studied at molecular level. So what are the mechanism of stress at molecular level? That studies also required. This altered cellular hemostasis, functions and renewal, some electrolyte and water balance, this synthetic activities of different proteins, hormones, then this healing process, particularly this repair activities, then effect on detoxification activities, this increased oxygen metabolites particularly, then cell proliferation. Lot of studies are carried out on this aspect, but there are a lot of gaps in these studies, but in case of our Indian livestock. So when we pursue this impact of abiotic stress in livestock, so what will be the problems in our Indian livestock in field conditions? So I have tried to compile all these problems in one slide here. So there will be poor growth and production, some infertility problems such as anestrus, repeat breeding, abortions, and then metabolic disorders like milk fever, ketosis, pregnancy toxemia, diabetes, some pigmentation problems, some nutritional deficiency disorders such as anemia, hypovitaminosis, some pica-like problems will be also there. Some toxicity problems will be there due to these heavy metals, these residues, this pesticide residues, antibiotic residues. Then some cardiovascular disorders such as atherosclerosis, urinary disorders such as gout, urolithiasis. So immune disorders, immunosuppression, immunodeficiency, hypersensitivity, autoimmunity. So all these conditions, even some cancerous conditions, particularly this horn cancer and eye cancer. When we talk about etiology of this, we say this UV radiations are responsible for this horn cancer and eye cancer, this physical and chemical causes of cancers. So this cancer is also due to abiotic stresses. So I am sure that all of you must be working on one of these aspect of this livestock. So indirectly, you are also working on abiotic stresses. When you are not working on this any infectious causes, I am sure that you are working on abiotic stress. So now components of this sustainable livestock production system. So when we imagine this livestock production system, so all these components of this livestock production system, they are important for this optimum production of this system. So these are livestock farmers, livestock, these environmental conditions, availability of some inputs such as infrastructure, this feed, medicine, labor. So health services also one of the input. Then this market capacity. So when all these components they are working properly, there will be no stress in any production system. So our research and extension efforts are directed on all these aspects. So in that, in one way, we are also all of us are doing work for this management of abiotic stress also. Now this one condition I want to show here, this low average productivity of dairy cattle in India. So when compared to other these Asian countries only, so our production level of our livestock, milk production level is very low. So even China, Japan, Korea, their productivity of their livestock is more. So major cause of this low productivity in Indian livestock is due to abiotic stress. So when we view all these abiotic stressors and our livestock production system, which includes various species, the scenario will be like this. This abiotic stress management scenario will be like this. So different stressors, they are acting on different species. This various livestock production system components. So we study this their responses, molecular mechanisms, some behavioral this production responses, and we also study vulnerability of the production system. So all this is required for this what adaptation and mitigation measures we have to adopt. So we need to characterize stressors, then this our livestock and their responses, and based on that we devise these different management options, adaptation and mitigation options. And these major mitigation and options are shelter management, nutritional management, and genetic improvement. So now coming to this first adaptation option, that is shelter management. So these are the photographs of this shelters by livestock farmers in rural Baramati area. So you can see this infrastructure facilities of the farmers, and some of the farms are having facilities like this also. So for stress, hoggers are there in this farm. So a lot of this modern farms are required, and the shelter designs are required for proper ventilation, and then reducing this temperature, reducing this density of the animals. So these are the examples of stress-free rearing. Then coming to nutritional management. So nutritional stress is major abiotic stress, particularly in drought-prone areas. So here, for management of nutritional stress, a lot of prevention, preparedness, and mitigation options are required. So we need to increase our fodder productions. We can see this more than 30% deficit conditions we are rearing our livestock. This we need some drought tolerant fodder varieties, hydroponics. Then fodder preservation, or there are technologies available, hay and silage making. Then use of unconventional feed and forages. A lot of research is going on in this direction also. And enrichment and value addition of low quality forages. For this, lot of work has been carried out on this urea molasses block, addition of urea in low quality dry fodder. Then complete diet blocks, this TMR preparations. and efficient utilization of forages with anti-nutritional factors. A lot of work is going on in this IVRI regional station Palampur also. The improvement of nutrient utilization by animals, this feeding management, then feed additives, then protein protection for improved nutrient utilization, and genetic manipulation of rumen microbes for efficient feed utilization. So these are the different nutritional management aspects. Besides this, for mitigation of stress in livestock, different options are there. This use of vitamins, electrolytes. A lot of studies are also carried out on that aspect. So now some genetic improvement strategies. For this, a lot of new biotechnological methods are available that can be used for genetic improvement. This genome editing, transgenesis technologies suitable for this producing tolerant animals through proper selections. This for this exploiting indigenous breed germplasms is required. So a lot of studies are required on this stress resilient characters of this indigenous germplasm. This polymorphism, particularly in heat shock proteins, that needs to be exploited. And using this marker assisted selective breeding for stress resistant animals is required. So now coming to the strategies for achieving climate smart livestock. So what FAO has proposed for this achieving climate smart livestock, this we have to increase productivity and reduce this emission intensities. Then go for carbon sequestration through improved pasture management and better livestock integration in circular bioeconomy. These are the approaches proposed by FAO. So one of the component of abiotic stress management, that is information systems. So we need some information systems based on the available data. So this information system, stakeholders for this information system are farmers, field workers, researchers, students, and policymakers. So this information should be regional level as well as at national levels. So this information should go to farmers also and for policymaker also. So we need to predict about the climate situations at production system level, then prediction about this availability of water and nutrition. Some informations are required on this, and for this proper information systems, proper data is required. So our data gathering systems, that also important for this. Now coming to livestock as a mitigation measure in farmers' perspective. So under climate change scenario, global food security is threatened. So livestock are key for this food security. This meat, milk, egg, they provide 34% of protein consumed globally. And so you can see against this 34% protein is provided by livestock, and they are emitting only 14.5% GHGs. So there is a positive aspect of livestock is here. This livestock is more resilient livelihood for adapting, particularly during drought. So in drought areas, these animals can be migrated from that area. Then they can be fed on the stored fodder, can be liquidated. Particularly in crop section, this there is tremendous loss to the farmer. So particularly during drought, no crop is there. If crop is there, that is stunted growth is there. So no production in that crop. So only for surviving of that farmers, livestock is the only component. This livestock manure also helps to improve this nutrient content of agriculture soil and also water holding capacity of the soil. So then livestock serves as moving bank ATM. Livestock provides required nutrients to family members, and livestock play a role in recreation activities also that enriches farmers' life also. So in this way, livestock can be seen as mitigation measure under this changing climate scenario. So coming to last aspect of my lecture, this what will be the way forward. So this role of animal husbandry for providing livelihood during this changing climate scenario, particularly drought, is very important. So particularly in drought areas, if integrated farming is practiced, impact of drought is very less. So this integrated farming and this organization of cattle camps, they help in sustaining this livestock. So lot of research, promotional research is required on this aspect, integrated farming and this animal camps. This holistic approach, this precision farming and One Health approach. These are the keys nowadays taught in all the parts of the world. So these are very important for abiotic stress management. In point of abiotic stress management also. So we need to consider all the components of production for research, planning, and improving profitability and sustainability of agriculture and particularly livestock. So this management of impact of abiotic stress on livestock requires multidisciplinary research approach with emphasis on microenvironment, shelter, nutritional resource management, nutritional interventions, breeding, and early warning systems. For this, exploiting indigenous breeds of livestock or stress-resilient characters needs priority. Systemic efforts for characterization with optimized protocols are required. And finally, farmers need to be empowered in terms of resources, education, information systems, and needs promotion in majority of livestock farming as this livestock farming is in hands of rural poor. So these are some of the indigenous breeds. There are more than 34 indigenous breeds of goats, more than 50 breeds of cattle, more than 17 breeds of buffalo. These all needs to be exploited for management of this abiotic stresses and impact of climate change. This more than 44 sheep breeds. So all of us need to join hands for dealing with this abiotic stresses in our livestock. So with this, I finish my lecture here. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir, for your very informative and relevant lecture, which was presented in a simplified manner for our participants. And sir, you have highlighted several researchable areas which may be taken up in future by our participants as well. And they may even contact, because you are in the National Institute, so they may contact you for any guidance. And because climate change is the change which we all will be going through, including the livestock. So the lecture was very good, sir. Thank you, sir. So we'll take up some questions.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Sir, Dr. Suresh is asking, based on your experience, which abiotic stress should be addressed first in the coming years?
So major impact of this climate change or global warming, that is on increasing temperature. So major abiotic stress is temperature stress. So it is having a lot of consequences in livestock production systems. So this is, I can say this major stress to be handled is heat stress.
Okay, sir.
If you ask for one, some heat stress is not alone. Actually, heat stress, it causes direct impact on livestock. But in production system, it causes a lot of impacts, particularly on nutritional availability. So it affects nutrition of animals also, nutritional availability, absorption of nutrients, and also assimilation of nutrition also.
Yes, sir. Sir, then Dr. Suresh is again asking, please share your views about day-old weaning and early weaning of young ones for better productivity.
Day-old weaning and early.
A day-old weaning or early weaning of young ones for better productivity.
So
Please.
actually,
Yes.
this is not related to my research work actually,
Yes.
but weaning at day one, that is not a proper practice, I think. But others who are related to this aspect, they can share their views. From my view, weaning at day one stage, that is not a proper practice. And for at optimum period of weaning, that should be based on research in that particular species or that breed. So
Okay, sir.
optimum periods must be decided.
Okay, sir. Sir, Dr. Muniappan is saying excellent presentation of various important factors on stress. Then Dr. Shabnam is also praising. She is saying excellent presentation on stress in livestock and its management. And sir, Dr. Muniappan is asking, do NSAIDs, non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs, decrease stress?
This during stress, actually, corticoid levels are increased in blood. So when we are giving steroids, steroid-like drug, non-steroidal drug, so impact will be enhanced. Stress impact will be enhanced. So I don't think this non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs that are required during stress.
Okay, sir. Yes, sir. So then Dr. Papuri is asking, according to your view, what is the best stress marker associated with heat stress?
For heat stress,
Yes, sir.
so this markers, we can say this behavioral, physiological, genetic markers. So behavioral markers, so animal that they will seek shelters. In physiological markers, particularly this respiratory rate is increased, heart rate is increased.
Okay, sir.
And for genetic markers, so mostly this HSPGs, they are prepared for this particular biotechnologist.
Okay, sir. Sir, there are no more questions, sir.
Hello,
Sir,
ma'am.
yes, hello, yes.
Yeah, I'm Dr. K. Jagadisan from Tamil Nadu. I
Yes,
will
you
ask two
may,
questions
yes.
in the.
Yeah. You may
You
please
kindly
actually
just read it out.
no? You please ask the speaker directly. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sir,
Sir
good
is
morning,
there.
sir.
Yes.
Yes, we can speak.
Sir, my question is one of your presentation slides. It has mentioned that Dr. Upati 2007 predicted that India's milk production will come down by 0.73 million liters because of the climate change. But now we are in 2021. What about that one? Whether it really the milk production was reduced, or what is that one, sir? Status?
So that information is about this impact of heat stress on production.
Yes, sir.
So whatever production we are getting, that is due to multiple factors. So
Yeah.
that is not after reducing that production due to heat stress, and by other factors we have improved that production. So whatever we are getting, that is the figure. But
Okay.
yeah. So this
Okay, sir.
impact. Yeah.
The second one is that in cement station, the bulls are generally raised in isolation, especially even from the 3 months to till it gives semen collection. So in that case, it affects its libido and as well as its semen quality. How to tackle this issue? Because here the main problem is the stress faced by breeding bulls.
I have not got your question. So, what is the problem?
No, what I'm asking is in in semen station, breeding bulls are kept in isolation.
Okay.
So this is a kind of stress which affects its libido as well as its semen quality.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
My question is how to tackle this issue, how to counter this issue.
So this shelter management option will be better. So they should be kept under proper shelter environmental conditions particularly. So the stress levels can be minimized in that animals. So if you manage properly this microenvironment of that animals, so they will not be under stress.
Okay. Okay, sir. Thank you.
Animals, we can afford that stress management aspect, shelter management aspect. So.
Good morning, sir.
Okay.
Yes, please go ahead.
Sir, I want to ask, sir, the local germplasm of goat or any livestock is best suited for the place. But do upgradation is helping the scenario, or better we should be doing the selective breeding of in that area to improve the livestock quality of that area?
So for upgradation, I think we use these production traits. So if this stress resilient traits, they are also considered.
Yes, sir.
That will be better actually. So this
Okay, sir.
selection is, I think, that is a better option.
Okay, sir.
Using
Thank you.
this marker.
Ji, sir. Thank you, sir.
If anyone else also wants to ask question, they can directly ask from sir. Sir, I think no more questions, sir.
Okay.
Sir Radotra, sir, you would like to comment?
Thanks to Dr. Nathan. I've seen you after so many years, and your presentations are always good, like earlier years. I think participants they have benefited very well. I too have benefited because I was not knowing about the stresses, although I have experience of animal behavior, but all these you stated, I was not aware. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for sparing your valuable time. We are really grateful to you. Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you, Rinku.
Thank you, sir. For the participants in the afternoon, we'll be having a lecture at 2:30 on yak husbandry in India. And the lecture will be delivered by Dr. Jokin Baum. She is a veterinary parasitologist working in National Research Center on Equines. So we will again gather at 2:30 p.m. in the afternoon. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone. Let's join back at 2:30.